First of all, there's a couple different philosophies that I like to employ. And the first thing you got to do is go into the draft with a game plan. You cannot go into the draft and just be like, oh, whatever. You're like, oh, I got 109. Great. Have a plan. Do you want to compete? Do you want to try to compete? Or do you want to productive struggle the first year? Right? A couple of ways to do this. There is the philosophy of just stick to your spot, draft who falls to you. That's not what I do. I'm targeting people specifically. And I have a lot of them in a lot of my leagues. But at the same time, if you're in a lot of leagues like me, don't have all the same players, because you could be bad in all the leagues. Like, that's a bad idea, right? So there's the philosophy of stick to your draft spot, which I think is incredibly boring. The second is targeting specific players, right? Have a game plan going into the draft. For example, AJ Dillon, Michael Pittman. I think these are all players that you can get at right now ADPs that when we are doing startup drafts next year are going to be much higher than where they are now. Just for example, this is what I like to call the inchworm effect. And this is my startup draft philosophy. Bob, you know this very well. And I'm also going to present the league in which I'm in a startup draft now, present you the team I have and the picks I've acquired in the future. So, and Bob can attest to this. I think there's a couple here in the chat in our patron versus rewinders league where I did this exact thing. And I'm in the driver's seat for a championship in this league now. I'm one of the 2 or 3 in the driver's seat for this league. You trade back from your spot, whatever it is, you trade back, but you do not trade too far back. Do not trade 3, 4, 5 rounds back. Do not trade completely out. You inchworm back. Here's my inchworm right here, Bob. You see? It'd be cool if we had like a little effect. You inchworm back in the draft, and you either acquire later draft capital in the startup draft, or you acquire 2023 draft capital. And I'm not saying it because it's a 2023 class. I was doing it last year in startup drafts as well, where I was acquiring 2022 picks because, as Bob mentioned earlier, draft picks do not lose value. They gain value as time goes. They gain value. So the inchworm effect, I'm going to give you an example of a league I'm in right now. It's a Superflex tight end premium league, 12 team. And I went in with a game plan, and I wanted to try the 0 quarterback approach. I saw the Dynasty Rewind video on the 0 quarterback approach. I think it was Mike and you, and I watched it, and I wanted to try it. I wanted to try it, so I tried it. So I want you to judge this team here. We got Matt Ryan, Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, Michael Pittman, Marquise Brown, Chris Olave, T.J. Hawkinson, A.J. Dillon, Cole Kmet, Kadarius Toney, Chase Edmonds, Carson Wentz, Michael Carter, Khalil Herbert, Trubisky, Tyquan Thornton, Romeo Doubs, and Greg Dulcich. I still got like 4 or 5 picks. I'm in the middle of that draft right now. Your thoughts on that team, just off the cusp there, Bob?
Just as you would expect, the quarterbacks are a little light. But now let's talk about how much draft capital you have built up.
All right. We have 223 first-round picks. We have 423 second-round picks. We have 223 third-round picks, 223 fourth-round picks, 224 second-round picks, 224 third-round picks, and 224 fourth-round picks.
Yeah, we both employed this strategy, and you've been a little bit more aggressive about moving those assets for future assets, and
bingo.
It is one of those things where I love that, because the big thing to note there, and you mentioned it, is to not trade back far. You don't want to move back rounds, because you missed out on 6 trades if you move 3 rounds back at least, because you can move 6 picks down, 6 picks down, 6 picks down, 6 picks down. You can make 6 trades in 3 rounds, or you can make 1 trade in 3 rounds. Why does that make sense? Every trade, then, when you're trading down, you're acquiring more assets, either a later pick in this draft, or you're flopping picks and flipping a pick to move up later, and then you should still probably get a rookie pick later as well. But yeah, absolutely, definitely that inchworm strategy, and you can use it in rookie drafts too, to move back a little bit, still get, you touched on it earlier with your moving down from the 101 to the 106 to the 108 or whatever, getting Olave, Pittman, and a pick next year.
No, the only thing as I wanted to address is the reason why I think that is a good approach is not because I believe in the 23 draft class. I do believe in that class
for sure,
but I'm not the person that's going to, if I feel my team is competitive, sell off because of that draft class. And you are witness to this in the Patreon League. I had so many picks after the startup draft, and I used them. I've used them now. Teams changed their mind. They got desperate. They saw their roster. They saw how old it was or how it wasn't going to compete, and they sold those pieces. I got Travis Kelce. I think I traded for Carson Wentz. It's a super flex league. So, what I still did is I still have a pick in each round next year. I'm not going to sell those picks, but that's what you can either use it to make your team competitive when teams change course. When teams start the season 0-4, you can trade for those, and you have extra assets now to do that. Or you can do the productive struggle year one, and next year, draft the younger players and input those players onto your roster. Like, that's not a bad plan either. But the reason why I love this plan is because there are 11 other people in your league. Somebody is going to change their mind on their team. Somebody's going to look at their team after the startup draft and just say, this is terrible. I'm so old. There's a 1-year window here. Let me move off. And I got Travis Kelce in our patron league, like in our tight end premium league. Yeah. And I think I traded
tight end premium.
I think I traded Treylon Burks. Teams will change their mind, and you will be in the driver's seat to capitalize on that.
You made a great point too, not just focusing on the next year, but if it's the 2024 class, if it's the 2025 class, when you're drafting, start with the next year draft capital. And then, feel free to, if the team necessarily doesn't have 20 next year picks to move, target the next year, because those picks are going to be as cheap now as they ever will be. Because as we get closer and closer to that draft, as we get closer to the 24 draft, every single day that passes, that capital increases in value, and how much and how harder it is going to be for you to get it. So I think, the interim strategy in drafts, rookie drafts, startup drafts, whatever, if you can trade in your drafts, huge move. And I do think, another point you touched on is not staying in your same spot. I think in that same draft, I think I drafted from my spot like twice in the draft. Otherwise, I was moving picks down, moving picks. I actually never moved up in that draft. It's one of those things where I think if you stick to your spot, you handicap yourself so much, because you're getting players that fall that you may or may not love, but then you're missing out on trading down and getting picks for next year and building your asset pool.
And the most important part about that, Bob, too, is, again, going into the draft with a plan. And I've really enjoyed this process where over the last 2 months, I've probably done 4 or 5 startup drafts and employed different strategies to just teach myself, where are people valuing certain players, and that value changes. Like Gabe Davis a couple weeks ago was going the 12th round. Now he's going 9th or 10th round. For me, it is an educational aspect where I can learn things and contribute to this channel. But at the same time, I'm employing different strategies. I'm going 0 quarterback. I'm going 0 running back. I'm going complete rebuild year one. Like, I'm going for the championship. I'm trying different things. And that's what makes it so fun, is like, if you're going to have more than 3 or 4 leagues, you got to try different things. Otherwise, you're just going to have the same team.
Well, that is it for this video. I do hope you all enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did. Comment down below your thoughts on the video itself. If you want to support this team and go deeper with us and get access to bonus content, written content, rankings, and our Discord community group chat, be sure to check out patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. It's a great way to support the brand and let us know that you want us to keep cranking out awesome content. And you get access to all of us 24/7. Lastly, if you enjoyed this video today, I'm sure you'll love this one too. Be sure to go check it out. But hey, that is it for me today. I'll see y'all in the next one. But until then, y'all have a good one.